you need to be sure that they're going to be committed. Reference checks. If you're checking references yourself, listen to what they say and also what they don't say. People are going to tend to be very nervous when they're being asked to provide a reference because there's some potential legal liability there, and so, listen carefully. Now, if your company has people who do this for you, then that's great. Let them do it. This is a job that is often best done by professionals, but if you can do it, or if you're the one who needs to do it, then definitely do it. Don't not do it because you're like, nothing interesting is going to come out of this. It can, especially if you read between the lines. Okay, so interviewing. Interviewing needs to consist of a few kinds of questions during the interview. Now, one of the set of questions is what I call qualification questions. So these can be true, false, or multiple choice, or structured written response is the other way that's sometimes explained. Is you give someone a question like, you've got an input field that accepts anywhere from 1 to 99 as the quantity to be ordered on an e-commerce application. Tell me what you're going to test and why. Now, that person should trot out something related to equivalence partitioning and boundary value analysis at some point in their answer to that, and certainly identify 0, 1, 99, 100, and possibly negative numbers, really large positive numbers, character strings, decimal digits, decimal floating point numbers, those sort of things. All that stuff should come out of them if you leave that as an open-ended question. If you give them multiple choice, and you give them a list of things, and that's obviously easier. But make sure that they can explain why they chose the answer, right? I mean, that's the advantage of this being an interview, not an electronic exam. So formulate some questions based on technology, based on programming, based on the business domain, but mostly on testing. And we've got we've done some work with clients before where we've built these kinds of question banks for them. So if you're interested, get in touch with us, and we'll help you do it. It's something fairly straightforward for us to do because we've got a lot of experience with it, but people who don't have experience building exam questions, other kinds of qualification questions, often have a problem with this. Okay, so behavioral questions. Behavioral questions are another type of question that you would ask, and this is about how somebody is likely to behave at work. Questions like the one shown on this screen, the manner and tone you use to discuss a bug report with other team members. You ask, well, tell me about this. Tell me about a bug report you wrote that was controversial and what happened with that. What do you like about your work? What do you like about being a tester? If you tend to have a lot of overtime, then say, we have projects that require overtime, and, tell me about the last time you worked on a project where you worked 60 hours a week. What was your experience on that project? So basically the idea is to try to get a feel for what's it going to be like to work with this person. How do they behave? And because these are not hypothetical questions, that they're based on usually, tell me about some sort of experience that you had, unless the person is a fabulous raconteur and able to make things up on the spot, this is going to give you some insight into their attitudes and personality, which comes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the presentation. Now, finally, another piece of the interview should include what I refer to as audition interview. I didn't make this name up. I'm not sure how far it goes back, but I've been using this technique for 15-ish years, I guess now. Basically, the idea of an audition interview is you have someone actually demonstrate the skills needed for their job. So one of the things that we've done is we're hiring a tester, someone who's going to run tests. We give them a written test case that we know is going to fail. And we set them up on the system. Of course, at this point, they've probably got non-disclosure in place. And we have them run the test case. And we say, okay, here's a notepad. If you see any problems, write up some bug reports. And we've had situations where people came back, and again, tests that we know will fail, said, everything was fine, it passed, no big deal. people who are doing well in the interview up to that point sometimes would say that. And that's obviously a complete disqualifier, because if they can't follow a written test case and recognize an anomaly when one's staring them right in the face, you definitely don't want to hire that person. So, some task that's related to what the tester is going to do. Have someone write a portion of a test case, something like that. This should be clearly traceable to their day-to-day activities and work. You want to get a sense of, can they do this? Okay, so at the end of that process, now you've gone through and you've looked at people's skills and attitudes, personality, and so forth, and you should be able to make a hiring decision. It's somebody who survives the gauntlet that I've just laid out for you, that goes all the way back to establishing the right personality traits that you want, the skills, and so forth, and then going through this rather grueling interview process that I suggested. What's going to come out of that? Well, what's going to come out of that is you're going to hire really great testers. You're not just going to hire people who are like, oh, got a lot of potential, she'll grow into the role. You want to hire people where you say, yeah, no, this woman that I've just hired is going to be absolutely one of the best testers I've ever hired. Based on what you feel at the end of that process, and the other people who are involved. That's what you want. You want to have confidence. And again, as I said before, don't settle. You don't need to settle in the current economy. There are people who've been, it's been tough, and there are people out there now. Hiring is starting to pick up now, but people are still pretty hungry, and you're going to be able to get good people. You don't have to settle in most markets. Again, as I pointed out at the beginning, there's the DeMarco-Lister rule about great employees 10 times more effective than a poor employee. So this is not just a matter of margins. This is not like a 10, 20% one way or the other thing we're talking about. We're talking about order of magnitude here. Also, keep in mind that there's a general rule that when a tester is managing a team that has a problem employee in it, or the test manager is managing a team, and really any manager is managing a team that has a problem employee in it, that manager will spend half of their time dealing with the problems that are created by that employee. So, that's you do not want to make a mistake. So again, attributes, personality, skills, measurable skills, skills that will grow the overall skills of your team, what you're looking for here. And just overall, this is what I've laid out is a very deliberate, careful process that will allow you to conduct very smart interviews and make smart hiring decisions. So, keep focused on that objective. You want to hire absolutely the best people, and again, at this point in history, you don't need to settle. This is a perfect time to hire really qualified people. Okay, so that concludes the presentation as a whole. It's a lot of material this time, so we went over the usual 60 minutes of presentation, and we still have plenty of time left in the overall 90 minutes for some questions from the audience. So let me fire up the questions panel here while you guys look at the advertisement. Let's see. Oh boy, we got a lot of questions. Good.